The image you see here, these flakes in the air, it's not fireworks, although it does look like it. This is actually Russian terror bombing of Kherson. It has been going on for some time. People don't report on it because they're so used to it, but I want to bring this back to the attention. This is incendiary ammunition. You can shoot this out with artillery. It explodes over the ground and disperses these incendiary capsules that fall slowly to the ground, burning for a very long time at a very high heat. Very hard to put out. Russia fired this over Kherson city yesterday. If we zoom into Kherson city, you can see that it's a huge city with vast urbanized area. Firing incendiary munitions here, it doesn't matter what you aim at. Something will catch fire and civilians will suffer for it. The population of Kherson before the war was close to 300,000. Of course, it's less right now, but this is a terror act. And I want to bring your attention to it. Some special news coming up in this video. For example, Putin connecting to people, really connecting, being close to them. In the last 1.5 of these years, we have not seen Putin like this. So this might be a double, who knows? Then we have reports from the Russian media that the butcher of Syria, General Armageddon or General Surovikin, all of his names, is jailed by Putin, who is conducting a large-scale purge in the Russian army. And the juiciest part coming up today is the Ukrainian tactic that they are using, crossing the Dnieper river, isolating this pocket of Russian units right here, because this here is a river also. How are the Ukrainians doing it? We'll get to it. Zaluzny spoke with the United States General Mark Milley and told him that Ukraine has grabbed all the strategic initiative from the Russian side, and now Russia is fully a reactive side in this war. Russia does not have any capabilities to conduct any large-scale operations anymore. Their capabilities now are defense or local recon battles. Russia is fully reacting to Ukrainian movements on the fronts. This is the first step towards a successful counteroffensive. If we look at the front lines later today, we see how Ukraine is pushing at different locations, playing Russia into moving their reserves around. Movement of troops is exhausting and time-consuming and resource-consuming, and Russia is moving them left and right because they don't know where the main thrust is coming from. This is what it means to have the strategic initiative. Your opponent is exhausting their energy into the wrong places, the wrong areas. This is what's happening. I will very quickly now summarize the Russian losses of the past 24 hours for you. 30th of June, 560 liquidated Russian personnel, 3 tanks, 6 armored personnel vehicles, 11 artillery systems, 1 anti-aircraft warfare system, 6 UAVs, 5 vehicles and fuel tanks. What most people don't talk about, this 560 liquidated or KIAs here is KIAs. It doesn't include wounded. But the statistic usually is that for 1 KIA there is 3 wounded. So if you want to know how many Russian soldiers are taken out of battle, multiply this by 2 or 3. Of course, some of these soldiers will go back into the battle, and some of them, wounded, will die later. I'm also wondering, how can Russia be losing so many troops per day for such a long time and still not run out of men? Well, there are actually signs of them running out of men. Today we'll look into them. We have videos of some units refusing to obey orders because of huge losses. My friends, let's watch this video together. It comes from Russian-occupied Melitopol, and it's a Russian soldier with a sidearm. And the video speaks for itself. The helicopter is lifting off. I don't know what the soldier is doing with a pistol, because you cannot shoot. There's no point in shooting out of a helicopter with a pistol if you're not gonna hit anything. But it looks cool, I give you that. But the main point is coming in the video. Check this out. Okay, it's a helicopter shadow. What else? They lift it up. Right there, did you see it? It's a destroyed Russian helicopter. They are showing it. Showing stuff like this is strictly forbidden in Ukrainian armed forces because it gives Russia information. What did they hit? What did they miss? Of course, Ukraine knows about this destruction before, but if they didn't, this would be a clear indication that we did hit a helicopter in Russian-occupied Melitopol. A Russian soldier, very cool, lifting up in a helicopter, showing his sidearm, and then a destroyed Russian helicopter. Takes the coolness level down a few notches for me. This is General Surovikin, or Mr. Potato Head as people call him, because it's a potato. This is a video he did during the Wagner rebellion, and he is now with his sidearm. Russian media yesterday reported that he was arrested. Now, he's General Armageddon, known by his Syria campaign when they bombarded civilians. He's known as the Syrian Butcher. He was the one responsible for the pullback of Kherson with minor Russian losses, so he's one of the more competent generals of the Russian armed forces. Of course, he lost his favor of Putin when he had to pull out of Kherson due to the bad logistics. But now he's suspected of being involved in some level with the Wagner rebellion. There is no official confirmations of anything, but we'll go through the information we have. This is Russian commandant and veteran Romanov stating that Smerovicin is held at Lefortovo prison ever since the ending of the Prigozhin rebellion. That he has been there from the 25th of June. If this is true, this is part of Putin's Great Purge, like Stalin did a Great Purge before the Winter War with the Finnish, and he shot himself in the foot because the Finns really fought back, and the Soviet army command structure was so weakened because of the Purge that they took heavy losses against the Finns. Well, the same thing is happening here. Putin wants to separate the loyalists from the officers who did not react to Prigozhin's mutiny, because not reacting is choosing the wrong side. Nobody opposed the mutiny, they just drove 800 kilometers towards Moscow. Putin wants to find those who looked away. He suspects Smerovicin was one of them. Russian media yesterday published this interview with Smerovicin's daughter. I'll read the short conversation to you. His daughter says that his father is at work, everything is fine. Smerovicin's daughter: honestly, no, nothing happened to him. He's at his workplace. The reporter: you're in touch with him, right? Daughter: yes, he's fine. Reporter: he hasn't disappeared anywhere? Nobody arrested him? Daughter answers: no, of course not. Well, when does he show up in the media every day? He's never made an appearance. Reporter: and you're in touch with him? And you're in touch with security? Daughter: my understanding is that things are kind of flowing the way they usually do. Everybody is at their workplaces. Everything is fine. This everything is fine is code red for me. Any Russian saying everything is fine, you know that everything is screwed up. That's just how the Russian mindset works. You say the opposite. But actually, by the latest reports, they're not yet confirmed. They say that Smerovicin has been released, that he was questioned and his loyalty to Putin was examined, but he was released. We're yet to wait for the confirmations. But if generals with such a service history, such merit that they have done for the Russian armed forces, of course it's killing innocent civilians in Syria and Ukraine, but Putin values that. If they are being arrested, that shows the scale of this purge. Nobody is safe, except for Shoigu and Gerasimov, because they're fully incompetent. They did not react to the mutiny, but Putin needs loyalists at the very top of the military. These are Shoigu and Gerasimov, incompetent loyalists. You have all seen this photo. This is Prigozhin leaving Rostov when the rebellion was at full blast. Right now we have information that Prigozhin is in Belarus, but we don't have reports that most of his fighters have settled there with him. He's there with his closest circle. Most of the fighters are still in field camps in Russia and occupied Ukraine. What we are getting reports of, and this is huge, that Putin and the Russian Ministry of Defense are taking over all of the Wagner equipment and all of the Wagner assets in Africa. Basically, Wagner will be fully taken over by the Russian Ministry of Defense. This is the biggest fear of Prigozhin. It's becoming true now. He cannot do anything. He's in Belarus. If he will make a move, he will be eliminated. Wagner, as we know it, is done. The Russian Ministry of Defense assumes control of everything, and the fighters will have options to go home, to go to Belarus, or to sign a contract with the Ministry of Defense. And if Wagner is done, also other private armies in Russia will be done, because Putin now sees the real potential threat of these private armies. Of course, there is Gazprom, private army, but it's not a threat because Gazprom is a state-owned company. Any private army not directly under Putin's control will be done in Russia. Now my friends will watch a video that I don't believe. Putin's ratings plummeted after the rebellion, after the Wagner rebellion. It really hurt him because his macho image crumbled. His strong leader image as a decisive leader, it crumbled. And now we see this video of Putin being very close to the people, trusting everybody around him, not being worried at all that somebody stabs him in the back. There, Putin is right there. Look at him, surrounded by everybody, being nudged around. There is no control over the situation. He's really in the flow with the people. I've not seen Putin like that since the war started. Either this is a stunt double or all of these people are paid actors and FSB has done a background search on them. This is a first for me. I don't believe my eyes. I don't know what to say. I've never seen Putin like this. Hugging people. Being worryless, carefree. Being a man of the... Either his ratings dropped so low that he decided, okay, I need to do this, although I'm afraid, like to go against his fear of the people that somebody stabs him in the back. Or this is a stunt double, or these people are actors. What do you think? Put it in the comments, because I cannot figure this out with my mind. My friends, now we'll jump to the front lines, and one of the most juiciest news comes from crossing the Dnieper, the Ukrainian bridgehead. What tactic Ukrainians are using is quite insane. This Russian detachment here, the police station, you see, it's a strip of highway, and then there's the Konka River. Most of the Russian army grouping is defending Oleshki, and it's on the southern side of the Konka River, but a small grouping is here, next to the police station, occupying these forest strips, and they're trapped. Why? Because we're getting reports of Russian military bloggers that Ukrainians have remotely mined all of this area, the entire area, very heavily. Also this highway, all mined, this area, all mined. This is a swamp, this is a wetland. The only way back is over this bridge with this highway, but it's filled with mines. Ukrainians remotely mined it with artillery. This means artillery shells explodes a little bit before they impact in the air and disperses these mines. And we have reports of Russians trying to pull back and hitting these minefields immediately, carrying losses. They sent a message that they cannot go back, so they are stuck here. And the Ukrainians are using artillery on their positions also, so they are stuck. They cannot get new ammunition very effectively because the area is mined, of course. The situation got so bad for this contingent that the Russians decided to move back reserves from southern Ukraine. That is perfect for the Ukrainians. That's what I'm talking about with the initiative. Ukraine is poking here, poking there, and Russia just moves around thousands of troops, losing cohesion, organization. It exhausts the troops. Everything they move away from the southern front is a huge loss for the Russians, because this is where the Ukrainians are pushing the most. This might have been the goal of this bridgehead, to only use about 100 to 150 men, which Ukraine is using. Here there's no more, to tie up huge vasts of Russian reserves. Russians are bringing in maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 men and armor for 100 Ukrainian fighters without armor. This is a huge strategic victory. Perhaps Ukraine doesn't even intend to expand this bridgehead, because it's really hard to actually strike from here. It's our wetlands, and the Dnieper is a dangerous place to have at your back, because you cannot fall back to anywhere. So it's a very bad place to assault. But Ukrainians have this bridgehead, luring in the Russian reserves, making the situation a lot better for the Ukrainians pushing in the south. It's an unbelievable chess game that I see Ukraine winning right now, and I'm amazed. But now, my friends, let's zoom into Bakhmut, because Russians have actually regained some positions north of Bakhmut. Yes, you heard me correctly, Russians regained some positions. North of Bakhmut, Dubova-Vasilivka, and if we go west from Dubova-Vasilivka, we see this Russian salient right here. Let's zoom into it. You see this windbreaker, as you guys said it in the comments, forest belt as I call it, and you said the windbreaker. These positions were liberated by Ukraine. Also these woodlands right here, all liberated by Ukraine up to this point with my cursor. Russia pushed and took them back with a localized counterattack, so Ukraine now needs to liberate them again before starting their offense at Dubova-Vasilivka. Now let's go south from Bakhmut. This is a settlement of Klishivka. It's the opposite. Ukrainians actually took positions. First of all, let's zoom into this area right here. These positions, you can actually see a ditch right here, and these positions were liberated by the Ukrainians, pushing the Russians back a little bit towards Klishivka. Also, this is the Donbas Canal, and as you can see, Ukrainians have forced it here. Probably they're going to push down southwards, so they wouldn't have to force the Donbas Canal in all of these places. And the final settlement is Kurdyumivka right here. Settlement right next to the Donbas Canal, and there is one place Ukrainians are really assaulting right now. It's over this land strip. It's like a land bridge over the Donbas Canal. Of course, I would assume it's heavily mined and defended by the Russians, but Ukrainians are striking from here. So far, they haven't penetrated this Russian defensive line. Heavy battles are going on. My friends, now let's watch a video from a Russian convict unit. It's probably a Storm Z unit. They're being used as cannon fodder, and this is them describing the situation. I'll read you the subtitles, and the video is translated by Dimitri, aka Word Translated. His link is in the description below. Today is 28th of June. In front of you are the remnants of the Storm Z company. Initially, upon arriving to the SMO zone, we had 150 people. After brutal fights, this is all what's left of us. What is like 30, 40 people, so we have 75% of mortality rate in that unit. We were brought today from the zero line to these apartments. They were brought back. The FSB colonel was threatening the mobilized men here. He was threatening the mobilized men here, but we are the Storm. We had 3 hours to reset here from the zero line. On the zero line, we were not provided ammo, food or water. Yeah, the convict units, the convicts groupings are the last priority of the Russian Ministry of Defense. They are made by the Wagner, and now that Wagner is done and the control over it is assumed by the Russian Ministry of Defense, this is the bottom of the food chain, the last priority. They're not even getting food or water on the front line. The logistics doesn't work for them. Wounded were not evacuated. The dead are still rotting there. Terrible orders are given which shouldn't be obeyed. We actually believe we are being simply nullified. Well, they are, that's the truth. When Prigozhin presented the idea to Putin to start using convicts in Bakhmut, for Putin's mind this is great because he gets rid of convicts in Russia which are dangerous to his rule. He gets cannon fodder for Bakhmut, and he gets to play the hero that he shows that we will release these prisoners if they fight for the motherland, bringing in the patriotism here. For him as a tyrannical leader, this does three things at once. The goal is to use these people as biomass to take land. If they die, that is great, because then Russia doesn't really have to pay for their upkeep in the prisons anymore. That's how the Putin's government thinks about this. This is personal opinion of mine and the lads. This is all that's left of 150 people. We've served for 3 months, never been paid. They just came again and said that we need to go to zero line and Priyutin to the meat grinder again. Priyutin is near the Novovesilka axis. Let's zoom into Priyutin so we all know where it is. Where are these Storm Z units being sent to? Right here, Priyutin and Russian. We have information about 3-4 days ago. The Russians sent a lot of their reserves into this settlement, and we know one of those reserves is the Storm Z unit. Heavy battles going on right here, and Ukrainians are showing slow success. Russians are feeding a lot of their convicts into this meat grinder. And now we're going to watch a video that you are going to appreciate. This is Solovyev, the main Russian propagandist, and this is Prigozhin, and it shows the difference of Solovyev towards Prigozhin before and after the rebellion. Let's watch it and I'll read you the subtitles. This is an advertisement on the Solovyev live channel. Join Wagner PMC, you'll learn a man's job and face World War III with dignity. I'm about to show you a real proper man, a man that the country should be proud of. And those who know him, they'll watch and say, yes, that's a real man. Of course, he's talking about Prigozhin being very proud to have him as a friend. Pre-rebellion. And those who don't know, they'll get to know a real legend. You have made a serious contribution to the liberation. And now we have Solovyev, the same guy, talking about Prigozhin. These are tough times. I did not expect to see this coming. The country is fighting. The journey from heroes, from leader of heroes to traitor was a short one. This man was not just blessed by the power, he was maintained by the power, was armed by the power. So one time he's the biggest friend, the biggest hero and idol, and the next day he's a traitor. This is how fast things change in Russia. The reality is whatever the propagandists and Putin say the reality is, not what it actually is. Now we're getting to the juicy part of me butchering some Patreons' names with my Estonian pronunciation. I know it's a weird way to thank people who support this channel, but hey, you'll hear your name in a way you've never heard before and you'll see nightmares after it. Let's get into it. Jochen Love. Andrei Andrei Stralkowski. What is wrong with Poland? I'm sorry, I don't want to offend any Polish people, but you gotta fix your names. Neil Lewinsky. That's a normal Polish name. That's a, yeah. Alun Veaving Paluki. Almenas Mitch. All of these people are tier 10 and above, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for making my life easier. If you want to support the channel, Patreon link is in the description below. Also, my friends, I would guide you to go to my Twitter account, because in there 3 times a day you get the most important news in a very compact form about Russia-Ukrainian war. I'll see you in Twitter. Check out my Instagram if you want to. All links in the description below. Photos and videos of what am I up to in my life up in there. I'll see you there. And as always, until my next video, Slava Ukraini.